Today's topic's about money. And man, what a guest I have for you today. His name is James Johnson. He's known as the Your Safe Money Guy. Let me tell you how I came across James. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about planning for our future. And I have been having this conversation for such a long time. And what we realized is we don't have the right training. No matter how far we've moved in life, no matter how many guitars we bought, financial planning is an art and a science all to itself. And you really have got to be positioned in the hands of the best people. Information that you're taught in school and in college just barely scratches the surface. And honestly, with all due respect to financial planners, some of them just don't get all the pieces right. So I started doing some YouTube searching. I came across this guy, James. He had a video out there, millions of views on whether or not you should pay off your mortgage, not pay it off. He's got an interesting take on it. I loved the way he delivered. I loved his fire. I loved his personality. So I decided to reach out to him. And yes, he agreed to come on the 10,000 Miles podcast today to talk about financial planning, your future, leverage, and all of the things you may not hear otherwise. So I hope you enjoy the episode. I hope you get some good nuggets from it. And at the very least, it should open your eyes to the things you should be thinking about and the things you need to learn about to secure your future. So let's dive in to James Johnson. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. James, how are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Vic, if I was better, I'd be twins because, it is a choice,
I thought you were twins, actually, but the other guy, he's a little more handsome than you. He's running around this place, so we'll catch him if we find him. Hey, thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, no problem. Anytime I can help, feel free to pick up the telephone and give me a call.
Will do. I like telling stories to the audience about how we met. It was a bit of I call it a bold move. I'll call it a bold move for myself. I have a very good friend. And he and I always talk deeply about things in life that, where we were educated or undereducated during, our upbringing. And we always talk about tax advice, financial planning, money management. And we always talk about the information we didn't have in our 20s. And we said, man, if we could do it all over, these are the areas we would focus on. But hey, it's never too late. We're both doing well. Things are fine. But, what I wanted to do is get more information and do a little bit more research because I was, sons don't listen to their dads much. You got to get other people influence them. So I was out there looking at some videos, and my friend Tony and I trade videos all the time. And I came across a video that had more than a couple million views on it. And it was you. And I was enthralled by it. I watched it. I made my son watch it. My daughter, who just launched a business, I made her watch it. She loved it, came back and told me things about it. And so I found a way to get in touch with you. I reached out, asked if you'd be interested, and you were gracious enough to say, hey. So thank you for that. And if you would, maybe introduce yourself a little bit more in your own words to the audience and tell them about who you are and what you do.
I'm going to introduce myself, but I want to touch on what you just said.
Okay.
Wisdom, it's wasted on old people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's incredible. We should come into this world being as smart as we'll ever be and then just get dumber as we go, which really the reality is that's kind of what happens as you get older, isn't it? You begin to realize that you're not as smart as you thought you were.
Of course.
My name's James Johnson. I've been a wealth advisor for, 20 some years now, 23, 24 years. And, I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. If you wanted to go way back, you'd start off with, I left home at 15 permanently. And when I see a 15-year-old these days, I look at them and I go, how the hell did I do that?
No kidding.
How did I pull that off? Let me ask you,
how the hell did you pull it off? That's a great question.
Perseverance. I mean, the bottom line is failure wasn't an option. Had I continued on the path that I was on, I probably would not have ever really made it anywhere. I probably would have ended up in jail or something crazy like that. But at age 17, I was sitting around one day and I was watching TV, and I swear to you that every commercial, every 30 seconds was a recruiting commercial for some branch of the service. And I made a decision at that point. I literally had just turned 17 years old. And I made a decision at that point that I either was to get on with living or get on with dying. One of my favorite
Okay.
lines in a movie. Okay. And so I got up, I went down to the recruiting station, and you got to understand that I had hair down the middle of my back at the time. I was in the 70s. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know what that means, but I was in the
Of
70s.
course.
Okay. And here I am, and I went down to the recruiting station. I said, look, this is really simple. I says, you're going to guarantee me I'm going to be in the air wing. Okay. I'm not going to be on the ground pounding a rifle. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to guarantee me I can get a high school diploma and not a GED.
Wow.
You're going to guarantee me in writing that I'm going to go overseas and I'm not going to spend my time inside of here. And I'm going to leave in the next 24 hours, or I'm going to change my mind. And he says to me, he says, you need to take the test. So I took the test. And by the way, this was November 27th, 1978. Okay.
Wow. He remembers the date.
It right
vividly.
to the moment and the time. Okay.
Yeah.
And he says to me, he said, take the test. So I took the test. He says, man, you're off the charts. He says, if you'll just wait until January 18th, I'll put you in avionics. He says, apparently I didn't make myself very clear. Okay. So let me explain it to you again. And he said, he says, let's go talk to your dad. And we went and talked to my dad. My dad asked me, he says, do you know what you're doing? And I said, probably not. He says, sign the paper, and off I went. Literally the next morning, this was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. Literally the next morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, I showed up at the AFI station. And by 11 o'clock that night, I was standing on the footprints for MCRD, which is Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego, asking myself, what the hell did I just do?
Wait, I got a question for you, James. I didn't know that you could go in that young if your parents signed away. Is that still a thing, or is it just a thing back then?
I don't know if it is today. It probably is, but I had to have a waiver signed to go in. Okay.
Wow.
And so if you knew anything about me, you would know that I've always been an overachiever. I've been an overachiever my entire life. I've always been an entrepreneur my entire life. I won all the awards at the penny drives and the baseball bond sales. And I had multiple paper routes, and I've always made money my entire life. It's never, ever was a problem.
Amazing.
The problem was, what do you do with it once you get it? Okay. And what I was always taught was you make it, you spend it, you make it, you spend it, you make it, you spend it. Okay. That was pretty much the way I lived my life. I mean, I went to the Marine Corps when I was 17. I got out when I was 21. I had my first business by the time I was 22. If you would have asked me at the age of 30, and you got to understand that when I started my first business in 1983. Okay. And between April and December of that year, I did $175,000 in sales. Okay.
Wow.
Now,
what was the business?
I was actually at the time, I was a distributor in the fingernail business. I was actually a beauty distributor. Okay. And I had a 40 plus 40 margin. Okay. So I got 40% off of $1, another 40% off of that, and free freight. Okay. I was making bank, dude. I mean, bank. Okay. And I went on to become literally the second largest distributor in the United States for fingernail products. And if you'd have asked me at age 30 how much money I had in the bank, I would have looked at you and went, dude, money in the bank? What do I need money in the bank for? I'm not even supposed to be alive. Okay. I used to ride motorcycles up and down the freeway at 155 miles an hour, jump out of airplanes, defy gravity, do anything that risked your life. Okay. And it didn't expect to live that long. And then along comes, 30, 35. And I began to realize that I actually might live longer.
Yeah.
Okay. And so real quickly, I told you I'm an overachiever. Okay. Well, at 17, I'm 165 pounds soaking wet.
Okay.
And what you have to know is you have to know that when you go in the Marine Corps, were you ever in the service?
I was not, but thank you for your service.
Well, no need to thank me, but when you go in the Marine Corps, what they do is they take the biggest, baddest looking dudes, okay, and they make them into what's called squad leaders and guides, okay. And I mean, our guide he was this black dude. He was a tackle for a football team. He was probably 260, 6'2". Okay. I'm
Big dude.
165 pounds soaking wet. Okay. Here he is. He turns out to be the guy. Well, in a short period of time, they dropped him down to my squad leader. And then we're sitting there one day and you used to push towels around the deck to clean the deck. And we're sitting there one day doing this, and he's running his mouth. I says, why don't you shut your stupid mouth and lead by example? And he goes, wham, and he hits me in the face. Okay. And I come back at him like a mad dog. Okay. And I got 2 guys holding on to me, 3 guys holding on to him. And all I'm thinking at the time is, don't let go of me. Don't let go of me. Because this guy's going to kill me. Okay. And so here I am. All right. And needless to say, I got his job that day. Okay. Because I was the only one with balls enough to stand up against him. Okay.
Amazing.
Well, I got meritoriously promoted out of boot camp. So I got 1 grade there. I went on to my duty station. I got another one there. And by the time I was in 18 months, I was an E4. Now, if you
Not
were in the
even
military,
19 years old yet.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
18, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So here I am. I'm E4, just under sergeant. And then I realized that wasn't going to be my career. Okay.
James, just a side note, you remind me, and I mean this with all due respect, it's like the scene in Forrest Gump when he does something miraculous and the drill sergeant says, Gump, you're going to make general in this here army. You're like a rocket ship. You got the program down.
So I ended up in Iwakuni, Japan. Okay. And I ended up on the All-Marine Judo team. I got a black belt in a year. Okay.
Okay.
Don't think you probably understand what that really means. Most people, if you come to the United States to get a black belt in any kind of martial arts, you're probably looking at 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, I studied martial arts for years. I definitely know that's the 20% plan, meaning you did it in 20% of the time.
Yeah. So I got a black belt in a year. I left the Marine Corps at 22, or 21 rather. Had my first business when I was 22. Went on from there, be a distributor to being a sales manager for a company, and then a manufacturer's rep, and then went back into manufacturing. And I did that for about 22 years. I traveled all over the world. People used to say there's no such thing as too much fun. And I would say, well, of course there is. I own it. And I would hand them a card. I had a company called Too Much Fun. And something I don't tell
great.
I don't tell hardly anybody. It's rare that I tell this story, but I owned a company that had to do with airbrushing fingernails. Okay.
Okay.
And I have taught thousands and literally thousands of people around the world on how to airbrush fingernails. And I could truly amaze you with an airbrushing fingernail today, to this point in time, if I had that. And I haven't touched one in 20 years.
Okay.
But the bottom line is I could teach you how to do that. But that's something that was a past life. I got out of it. I got tired of flying 200,000 miles a year.
Yeah.
And I really, quite frankly, I got tired of dealing with the mentality of the people I was dealing with. I was just done. Okay. I lived on airplanes. I lived in convention centers and hotels and rental car agencies. I was just finished. And so I said, well, what are you going to do when you grow up? Okay. Like what next? Here I am. I'm at the top of my field. I'm making bank. Okay. I'm traveling all over the world. People think I have this blessed life, but I'm flying first class pretty much everywhere I go because I got so many miles. And I was just sick of it, absolutely sick of it. And so I made this decision to go into the financial world. Okay. And that was actually in 3. And so in 2003, I started exploring that. And the thing I always tell people when I'm talking to people about starting a business, so on and so forth, is I always tell them, don't quit your day job.
Okay.
Okay. So keep your day job and build whatever it is so that you can transition without having a financial problem. Okay. So in January 1st of 2004, I walked away from my business. I told my wife at the time, I said, I'm done. I will manage the business, but I'm not talking to any more clients. Okay. We'll keep this business. I'm going to go do this. And off I went. Once again, the overachiever kicked in. So
it's a blessing and a curse. I understand.
It really is. Okay?
It's a blessing and a curse.
So since the date that happened, I have spent easily north of $650,000 on my education. Okay. During that period of time, I spend $25,000, $50,000 a year, and people say, like, well, how much more could you learn? And the answer is that when you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot. So the second you think you got this all figured out, you're rotting. Okay.
I love that.
There's no end to learning. Okay. And I think that first off, it keeps you young. It keeps you, at least keeps your mind young, learning stuff. And more importantly, it keeps you out of your box. I always say to people, Vic, how do we get out of this box? And you know what the problem is? Most people don't understand that the directions are on the outside of the box. And they keep talking to the same people in the same box on how to get out of the box.
Exactly right.
The interesting thing about that is when you get out of your box, you just get into a bigger box. So no matter what knowledge you get, you're still limited by your knowledge. And you can be like Elon Musk, but you're still limited by your knowledge. Okay. And that being said, I went on from there and then I started this business and I've been doing this for, I don't know, counted up 20, 21, 22 years now. I went from there, I transitioned and I began to learn. And I've got an endless list of mentors over that time. Maybe at some point we'll talk about those. But I went on, I became a master lead advisor for a guy named Ed Slott for 9 years. I was a top team member for a guy named Doug Andrew. And as I transitioned along, what I began to realize is that the biggest problem in America is there's no financial education.
That's right. Boy, I'm with you.
Dude, it sucks.
It's bad.
It's not a little bit bad. It's really bad. And then the next biggest problem is that I have a saying I use all the time, and that is you can fool 100% of the people 100% of the time if you have a large enough advertising budget.
Sure. 100%. Big time.
And that's what's going on out there. What's going on out there is
on all levels, by the way, right? No matter what it is, no matter what the product is, no matter what the service is, if I look good and I make you feel good when you see what I'm doing, you think it's right, you think it's good, and it's worse than ever.
How old are you?
I'm 61.
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay. I'm going to play a little game with you.
Yeah,
okay?
Sure thing.
Here's the game. I want you to fill in this sentence as fast as you possibly can. Now, have we ever had this conversation?
Maybe, but I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fill in the sentence as fast as you possibly can. You ready?
Yes.
2 all beef patties.
Special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
I'd walk a mile for
a camel.
Winston tastes good like a
cigarette should.
When E.F. Hutton speaks,
everybody listens.
Now, you want to hear something incredibly depressing?
That I was 61.
You have not heard a single one of those commercials in over 35 years, yet you were able to repeat them just like that.
Yeah, they were infused into my brain while my frontal lobe was still being developed. So they're permanently tattooed into my soul.
This is called linguistic marketing.
Yeah.
And what linguistic marketing says is that if I tell you the same crap over and over and over and over again, you're going to believe it whether it's true or whether it's not. Okay. It's automatic. You come into that automatically. And it's funny. I just recently had a situation. I was back in Florida doing the Florida County Commissioners. It was actually Florida Cities, League of Cities event. And there was a young kid there. I say young kid, he was in his 30s. And I asked him those questions and he couldn't answer them. Okay. And I pulled the guy out of the crowd, literally just pulled the guy while I was walking by. I says, come here. I says, Mike, have we ever met before? He says, no. He says, I want to ask you. And he repeated them just exactly the same way you did.
I bet.
And this kid's going, my God, how is this even possible? Okay. I says, now, did you ever hear this one? You should put your money inside of a tax deferred account because you're growing money you would have otherwise paid in taxes. And in the end, you're going to have more money because you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Did you ever hear that before?
No, you never heard that before. You still don't.
Well, actually, that's not true. You've heard that over and over and over again because that's what they told you about your 401k, your 401k, your 457, your defined benefit plan, your TSP account, any tax deferred account. Those are exactly the words they used. Okay. Now, here's the amazing part. Is it true?
No, it's not true, which is what really led me to this big video that I saw of you. And I don't know if now is a good time to transition to a
take
topic,
over, because I could talk all day.
I want to pull up
me.
There's one video. There are a couple videos I want to tug on because I'm going to put in the description section links to these videos so people can get more meat, because I think we have an hour today. But you have a video about one of the debates that goes on for the longest time. Should I pay off my mortgage early? I love when you laugh about this. And, you know, and I want to give you a little backstory. I have friends and family that the American dream was to buy a house. I'm first generation on my mother's side, second generation on my dad's side. So I come from an immigrant mindset, right? And I've broken free of it. I might be one of the few in my family who has. But the thought was buy a house, pay off the mortgage, you're secure for the rest of your life. Okay. I never bought into that because I took in extra data. One, my taxes were going up. I could be taxed out of my affordability in my home if my property taxes were more than what my retirement would set up. I need a better plan. Two is, depending on what home appreciation does, do my strategic investments outpace the home appreciation? Number two. Secondly, if I can secure a low interest rate, which I have on my current mortgage because I took advantage when it was 2.68, I can crush the market better than that. So I essentially have free money in the house when I think of it that way. And so my friends and family they have this mindset of got to pay off the mortgage, got to pay off the mortgage, got to pay off the mortgage. And I'm like, leverage, 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 leverage. I watched your video. It's called Paying Off Your House Early is a Mistake According to the Math. Educate us on your view.
You know, if you've watched that video, I wonder if you read any of the comments, because you get into the comments, you read the comments, and I just have to laugh. I mean, I can't do anything but laugh. And the problem is once again, linguistic marketing. Okay. So, and living in a box. Mm-hmm. And some people are absolutely positively not going to come out of the box, no matter what I tell them, no matter what I show them, no matter what the math is. And that's okay. Okay. What I tell people is when we're sitting down and we're having a conversation about retirement, estate planning, saving their business taxes, whatever the case may be, is you can't make a wrong decision. You see, if whatever decision you make, you sleep well with at night, you made the right decision.
Agreed.
Okay. So it doesn't matter what I tell you. It's of no matter. As a matter of fact, Vic, if you have an opinion, I have an opinion, whose opinion are you going to listen to?
It depends on which one hits me. No, the truth is, and this is the thing that you'll come to learn more about me, James. I'm such a seeker of information and being outside the box that my opinions rarely are so deeply rooted and convicted because I'm attached to nothing, really open to everything. I'm a rare bird. Like if you tell me something that hits me and it's completely 180 from everything I've learned, I'm really going to take that to heart. I'm really going to dig in. I'm really going to explore it. Now, I guess your simple question is, at the end of the day, if I still decide to come back to my side of the house, you're right. I'm going my way for sure.
What good does it do to tell you anything?
Yeah.
It does no good whatsoever. So you're listening to this right here. Yeah. I'm not telling you anything.
Nope.
I'm educating you. And what you do with that education is entirely up to you. Okay. It's your choice. It's always your decision. But what you need to know is the math says it's different. Now, let's do a little backstory.
Let's do it.
I was a guy, okay, who had a 15-year mortgage, who was making bi-monthly payments, making extra principal payments, and was going to have my mortgage paid off in 8 months. That was my plan. 8 years, rather. 8
Okay.
years. I was going to have it paid off in 8 years. That was my plan. So I get this flyer.
Real quick. Why?
Because
what was your motivation at that time?
Because I believed what everybody in America believes, that you should pay off your house as fast as possible. It's the most secure financial position you could ever be in, no matter what you do. Okay?
Not going to get kicked out of your home. You'll have a roof over your head.
My house. You can't raise my interest rates. It's mine. I own it. Okay.
Going to save money on interest.
Your house payment. I'm safe. I'm secure. Everything is good. Okay. Yeah. That's what I believed.
Okay.
So I get this flyer. Worst flyer I ever seen in my life. Okay. I decide I'm a seeker of education at this point. I'm going to this thing. I don't care how bad it is. I get up there. One of my now mentors, okay, is teaching this class. I'm not joking when I tell you this guy's a hillbilly from Alabama. Okay. I mean, and he would admit it. Okay. He's it's unbelievable. Okay. So I'm sitting there watching this guy talk to us about how you pay for your house. And I'm going, this guy's an idiot. He's a complete moron. Okay. This guy has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. He can't even possibly be right. But everything he showed me mathematically, I couldn't dispute.
It worked.
I honestly couldn't dispute it. So I spent the next 8 months and $5,000 of my money, because I was a computer programmer when I got out of the Marine Corps. Okay. So I spent $5,000 of my money buying his software, going into his software, looking for where he was skewing the numbers. And I spent 8 months of my life going, this can't be right. And finally, someone walked in my office and they handed me this book. It was called Misfortune, written by another mentor of mine now, Doug Andrew. Okay. And in this book, I read it coast to coast. I came back. It was actually Misfortune 101, because Misfortune is what we call the War and Peace version. It's about this thick. Misfortune 101 about this thick. And I read it. I came back. I threw it in the corner. I went, I give up. Okay. I give up. And I realized at that point, after all that arguing, after all that fighting, that I had been wrong the whole entire time. Okay. So here's the premise. Listen closely. You should pay for your house as fast as you possibly can. You should just always have the largest possible mortgage right up until the day you die. Now, I'm going to say it again because I know that's a contradiction in terms. Okay,
so we got. This is why your video was awesome. By the way, this was our takeaway.
Pay for your house as fast as you possibly can. You should just always have the largest possible mortgage right up until the day you die. All right.
Let's
now,
unpack
that's a contradiction in terms. So I'm going to prove it to you. Okay. In my left hand, I hold a cup, and this cup is empty. Okay. And it represents a house worth $500,000. And it has a $500,000 mortgage on it. Okay. So, question, is this an asset?
Yes.
I will find it on the asset side of my balance sheet. Is that correct? Will. Okay. Will this house appreciate or depreciate any faster if I pay it off?
It will not.
It will not go up or down in value regardless of how much money I put in it. Therefore, what is the rate of return on equity?
Educate me. 0.
It's 0.
Okay.
It's always 0. This house will go up or down in value regardless of how much equity is
right.
in the
Now
house.
I understand the question.
Okay?
Yeah. Because I have 0 equity.
So the money in the house, okay, if I put in $500,000, the money in the house is not appreciating.
That's right.
The house is depreciating. Therefore, equity is always losing money. And it's losing money on two fronts. It's losing money on something called opportunity cost. If I had that money, I could invest it somewhere else. I could buy another house. I could invest it in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, gold, silver, cryptocurrency, whatever the case may be. And it's losing money based on inflation. The value of that dollar, the purchasing price of that dollar is going down every single year based on inflation.
Yes.
Okay? So when I put money in this house, it has a 0% rate of return. Okay. Now, and I have a $500,000 house with a $500,000 asset with a $500,000 mortgage on it. For lack of better words, over here in this account, I have $500,000 in my bank account. Now, I would never put $50,000 in a bank, but I have $500,000 in my bank account. Okay. Is this an asset?
Yes.
Okay. So if I take this asset and put them together, what is the value of my assets?
$1 million.
That's correct. Now, many of your listeners right now are going, no, you have $500,000.
That's net worth.
I did not ask you my net worth.
Right.
I asked you the value of my assets. Okay. So I have $1 million in assets. Okay. So I have $500,000 in this bank account and I have $500,000 house with a $500,000 mortgage on it. Both of these are working for me. Okay. Going up or down in value. Correct?
Yes.
Is this house paid for?
Effectively, yes.
Watch. Paid for. Just like that. I dump the money out of this bank account in my right hand into my left hand. The house is paid for. So I will say it again. You should pay for your house as fast as you possibly can. You should just always have the largest possible, listen to the words, mortgage right up until the day you die. Now somebody's out there going, well, they're not going to give you a $500,000 mortgage. It doesn't matter, okay? The point is, what is the most that you can do, okay? And by the way, what makes it possible? And what makes it possible is the ability to service this debt. If you cannot make this payment, you're screwed, okay? Well, look at all the people that lost their money in 2008 because of the mortgage crisis. Why did they lose money? They lost money because they were over leveraged. They took the equity out and they did not reinvest it. They bought motorhomes and boats and wave runners and so on and so forth. They consumed it, okay? Yeah. But those that invested it, those that leveraged it, were way better off, okay? As a matter of fact, when real estate dropped dramatically at that time, those of us that leveraged it, you know what we did? We bought more, okay? You could call that dollar cost averaging.
That's
okay?
Right.
So we bought our way in. So back to this money over here, okay? So we have a $500,000 house with a $500,000 mortgage out. We have $500,000 in our bank account. We have $1 million in assets. I am going to take $100,000 out of this bank account. I'm going to pay it towards the mortgage on this house. Okay. What's the house worth?
Still the same.
I'm going to pay it off. What's
Still
it worth
the same.
now?
Yeah. The money math doesn't lie.
What's the value of my assets?
Still the same.
No, it isn't.
Oh, no, it's less because what's the value of that? Oh, the value of your assets. I thought you said house. Yeah. I have half the amount of assets.
I have $500,000.
I have 500,000 assets.
Explain something to me. Why would you take $1 million in assets and turn it into $500,000?
The only reason I hear from people, James, is they sleep at night.
Okay. Well, if they understood this, they wouldn't sleep well at night. Okay.
I agree because
but they're in their box.
They're in their box
and they're not coming out because it's so scary out there. Oh my God, that isn't going to work. And what they don't get is if they have this money over here, they're in a safer position. So I got a question for you. Okay. You're Mr. Excess Down. Okay. You live right next door to me. You live in $1 million house. I live in $1 million house. Okay. We decided to go on a vacation to Las Vegas. But before we go, we did a little accounting. It turns out that in 2008, if you could fog a mirror, prior to 2008, if you could fog a mirror, they'd give you a mortgage. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I took out $1.2 million on my house. I took out the value of my house at the time. Okay. And I took out an interest only loan. All right. You, on the other hand, have been paying down your house. You owe $100,000 on your house. I owe $1.2 million on $1 million house. You owe $100,000 on your house. And people say, that's not possible. Yes, it is. I've seen it happen many times. Okay.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I've been there. Okay. So we're over here like this. Okay. We go on vacation. We're on vacation. We both get in a serious car accident. We're no longer able to work. We can no longer make our mortgage payments. Whose house are they taking first, yours or mine?
Not yours.
That's correct. They're going to take
Not
your house
yours.
so fast, your head's going to spin.
Yep.
Because all they have to do is sell it for $100,000 to get it back. They're going to come to me. They're going to say these words. Mr. Johnson, we have to figure out how to keep you in this house. Because if they take that house, they just lost a lot of money. Okay. At the very, very least, they lost $200,000. Mm-hmm. They will literally pay me to stay in that house. I've seen it done before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I spent 20 years in the mortgage business. I get it. And if you live in the state of New York, you could squat for years before you'll before you'll be done.
Absolutely. Okay. So same scenario. Okay. But while we're gone, we live here in Southern California and a huge earthquake happens, opens up, swallows your house and swallows my house. Who's better off, me or you?
You.
Why?
You've got cash.
So I have an investment for you, Vic. Here's the investment. It doesn't have a rate of return. Okay. It's not safe and it's not liquid. How much money would you like to put into it?
0.
Isn't that a house?
Pretty much.
It's not safe. It's not liquid and it doesn't have a rate of return. Okay. So I want to own as much real estate as I can get my hands on. Okay. I just don't want to put my money in it.
Yeah. You know, James, I have this saying that I tell friends all the time, and I usually repeat this on a monthly basis when something else in the house breaks. I say home ownership's for suckers because I've done the spreadsheet. I've done it over a period of time with a reasonable mortgage, interest paid on the mortgage, the value of the house increase, taxes, maintenance, upkeep. And you put that whole formula together and everybody goes, oh, I bought my house for $1 million. It's worth $2 million now. It's 20 years later. Yeah. You know, you didn't get that, because that money, that extra $1 million over the same, 20 years is probably worth about 40% of what it was at the time. Number one. Number two, you didn't have that money growing for you on the outside in addition to the $1 million, because it would have grown anyway. If you had a mortgage or you didn't have a mortgage, it would continue to grow, which is your point. And so they say to me, what's the answer? Rent? I said, well, my grandfather did, he wasn't consumed by this dream. Now, my grandfather was an immigrant who thought owning real estate as a rental property would be a great thing for him. That's different, I think, than your primary home. If you follow that guy, Ray Dalio at all, he's like the pay off your mortgage guy, but he's the pay off your mortgage guy primarily if you're collecting rent, right? So he's like, buy the first house, pay it off, leverage it, buy the second house, charge rent on both, leverage it, and just keep it rolling. But I'm not sure, I think people interpret him as the pay off your mortgage guy. It's the first thing you need to do. I haven't invested enough time to know whether or not that's his position. But I found the caveat that he only says, do it if you're going to rent it. Are you familiar with Ray and his pieces?
The answer is that always depends. Okay.
Yeah.
It depends.
Okay.
It depends on a lot of factors. Okay. The biggest problem in the financial world, and by the way, it's not just the financial world, but the biggest problem in the world is people use generalized advice. Okay.
Right.
They're always using generalized advice. I love it when a person says, well, before we do anything, I want to go out and verify it. And I say, okay, well, can I ask you a question? How are you going to verify it? Well, I'm going to start with Google. And I say, okay, well, can I ask you a question? Do you believe in God? And they say, well, yeah. I says, great, Googling. Okay, just go Googling. You're going to find out that there's no such thing as a God. There was never a Jesus Christ. Nobody could walk on water. The earth is flat, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you're going to find a whole other side of the story. So you can find every aspect that says one direction or another.
Confirmation bias.
And here's what's interesting. People lie. Can you believe that? People actually lie.
Yeah,
okay?
Of course.
Well, here's the thing. Mathematics doesn't. And when we sit down and we do the mathematics says that, by the way, I want to take me back to interest rates in a second, but the mathematics says that for every $1,000 that's in your house, you're making a $500,000 mistake over the next 30 years. So if you have $1 million house that's paid off, you're talking about $5 million over the next 30 years. Would that make a small difference in your retirement?
Yeah. I mean, if we do the simple math, one that I think people have heard time and time again is that with the right investment, your money doubles every 7 years. I think.
No, that's actually not how that works. Okay.
Well, I'm not saying it's how it works. I'm saying that's what people are familiar with.
Let's understand how that rule works. It's called the rule of 72.
Yeah.
Okay. And the rule of 72 says if you take 72 and you divide it by the interest rates you're making, that's how long it takes to double your money. So if you were making 10% on your money would double every 7.2 years.
Correct.
Okay? If you were making 7, it would take 10 years to double.
It would take 10. Right? But let's just say, let's make some assumptions here for the sake of the point. Let's say somebody can go out and get 10% a year on average over the years. I think you can look at the market and say that people have been successful. I know I've hit that number, right? Let's take that with the exception of a few years. Yeah, with the exception of a few years. Yeah, I have.
Okay, I'm going to let you finish, but then we're going to talk about why average rate of return is a lie, and I'm going to prove it to you.
Well, it's good because you've got a great video up here called The Stock Market History Has Fooled You, and I wanted to segue to that, which I'm sure ties into this thing. But people are told that 10% every 7 years, your money doubles. Let's just assume that's true just for the sake of the argument. Let's say you believe that it's true. It's demonstrated and the math didn't lie. So if I had $1 million in the bank and I put it in my mortgage in 7 years, that $1 million house is likely not going to be $2 million. But according to the math of this rule of 72, in 7 years, my million is going to be $2 million. My house will be worth more, but I would have lost the investment opportunity of the money that was in the market that's doubling.
Well, once again, back to generalized advice. Okay.
Yeah.
So lots of problems with that scenario.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start. Let's go back. Let's clear the mind of those that are sitting out there going, "You're an idiot." Okay. Real estate's a great investment, so on and so forth. They're correct. Okay. And the reason why they're correct is because there are other things. There are deductions. There's actual owning it and not being subject to a renter. They could raise your rent anytime they want, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. Okay. But let's go back to the $1 million that doubled to 2 million. You missed a really big point.
Okay.
There are only 3 ways to grow your money. Do you know what they are?
Hey, you're going to tell me.
Tax as you go, tax deferred, and tax free. So if you took $1 million and you made 7.2% over it in 10 years in a tax as you go environment, we wouldn't come anywhere close to $2 million. Okay. Because that would be taxed every single year.
Mm-hmm.
If you did it in a tax deferred environment, you would get to $2 million, but you'd have to pay taxes to take it out.
Right.
And so taxes on that, 40%, about 800,000, you'd end up with about 1.2. And if you did it in a tax-free environment, then you would end up with $2 million. So what you see how general advice doesn't work?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
Well, let's unpack that. What are the tax-free investment classes? What do those things look like?
Before we do that, I want to go down the rate of return alley.
Okay, let's do that.
The unfortunate part here is we only have an hour. I have days. Okay. So let's talk about rate of return. Okay. Average rate of return. I always laugh when a person tells me their average rate of return was X. I don't care what it is. Okay. My average rate of return was this. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Okay. Now, I want to tell you this story, but we'll get to the next thing. I have so many things I want to tell you.
Yeah. Hey, we can go over a little bit. It's fine. I thought you just had the hour.
Average rate of return. Okay. Average rate of return. I'm going to guarantee you an average rate of return of 25% for the next 4 years. You want to do business with me?
Most people would say, of course.
You'd have to be an idiot not to.
Yeah,
okay?
Of course.
I mean, look, I'm going to guarantee it. I'm going to give it to you in writing that your average rate of return will be 25% per year for the next 4 years. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now follow
Sign
the
me
math.
up.
Follow the math because this is exactly how it's done. Okay. I'm going to invest $100,000. I'm going to make 100%. I'll have $200,000. I'm going to invest the $200,000. I'm going to lose 50%. I'll have $100,000. I'm going to invest $100,000. I'm going to make 100%. I'll have $200,000. I'm going to invest the $200,000. I'm going to lose 50%. I'll have $100,000. If I take 4 years, which is 100 plus 100 is 200, and I subtract 2 negative 50s, I come up with 100. Divide by 4, my average rate of return was 25%. I started at 100 and I ended at 100. Now, you sure you want to do business with me and my average rate of return is 25%?
Yeah, well, not in that scenario. Of course not.
Guess what, dude? That's how it works.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you're looking at any prospectus and that prospectus has 1 negative year inside of it, it's a lie. Okay. It's not the average rate of return. After all, did you ever look at your statement and say, hey, based on the rule of 72, with the averages they're telling me, my money should be X, and yet it's not. And then what about the fees? What about the hidden fees? What about the taxes? What about the inflation? As a matter of fact, did you know that between the years 2010 and 2020, you lost money? You didn't make money. You lost money over that entire 10-year period of time, okay, because of the downturns in the market. Yet they would tell you your average rate of return was 9% over that period of time. Yet you lost money. Oh, but I had more money in my account. No, you didn't. Based on inflation, the value of that dollar, you actually ended up with less money than you should have. You got it? So,
yeah, I get it.
Be careful with generalized advice. Be very, very careful with generalized advice. Now, here's an interesting point, and you can drag me back at any point here, okay? My expertise lies in retirement, estate planning, and saving businesses taxes. What if I told you that rate of return has absolutely nothing to do with it?
I'd be intrigued. I'd want to hear about it.
It has absolutely nothing to do with it. It never has, and it never will, okay? It will always be about income. It's always been about income, and it's always going to be about income. Now, that people are flipping out right now. They're going, "Oh, this guy's an idiot."
No, it already makes sense. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm hanging in there.
Just do a little math, okay? Because it's always about the math. In order to retire, you must have one thing. You are not retiring without it. I don't care who you are. You're not retiring without it. What is it?
Income.
That's exactly correct. You must have income. Now, when you hit retirement, you're going to have some known incomes. You're going to have Social Security, if you're lucky enough to have one. We could argue that rental properties are a known income, but if you own rental properties, you know full well that's not true, okay?
Yep.
So, but we could factor in some of that.
I'm a
And then you're
crappy
going to have
landlord.
these other assets that you put together, your IRAs, your 401ks, your 403bs, 457, TSPs, defined benefit plans, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, gold, silver, cryptocurrency, whatever it was you invested your money in. And from that, you're going to have to create an income in order to retire, okay? Now, you're running along over here. Let's see if I have one here on my desk.
By the way, just to clarify, I said I'm a crappy landlord. It's only because the property manager had said I was too nice. And people don't have the rent. Hey, give them another 2 weeks. You know,
it's always the case. That's always the case.
That's why I'm no longer a landlord.
That's always the case. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I want to show you something here, and your listeners can't see this, but I want to show you something here. Okay.
Well, we're on video, James, so they'll be able to see it.
I don't want to get off the course of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Vic, I want to congratulate you on what a wonderful job you've done. You've got $4 million in your 401k. You know, that is fantastic. Okay. Can I ask you a question? Have you ever seen the after-tax statement?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah, let me show you. Okay. Yeah. Looks like that.
All right.
Okay.
It's 37% gone.
Or whatever the number is.
Yeah. Plus the city and state, if you live in one of those states
now we haven't
that
even
takes
started
money.
to talk about where taxes have been and where taxes are going, but let's just stay where we're at today. Okay. So do you understand that this doesn't belong to you? It's not yours. Okay. You're confused. This belongs to the government. Now we can talk all day long about what you should do about that, but let's go back to this $1 million. Okay. So we get out here to retirement. We've got our Social Security, we got all this stuff, and we need $60,000 a year. We got to have $60,000. Now, there's something called the 4% rule. If you go to Fidelity, Schwab, Fisher Investments, any one of them, you say, listen, how much of this $1 million can I take per year and not run out of money? They're going to use the 4% rule.
Okay.
And the 4% rule says that if you take 4%, you got about an 86% chance of never running out of money in your life expectancy. Okay. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that my number one rule is live like you're going to die tomorrow, plan like you're going to live forever. You just might. So never plan to life expectancy, plan beyond life expectancy for both you and your spouse. Okay. But I need $60,000. Okay. So I'm over here and I've got my $1 million and the market makes 6%. Life is good. 6%. Life is good. 1 year, just one. The market loses 20%. How much do I have left of my $1 million?
How many years have you taken the 4% out?
No. I was over here. I was making 6 and taking 60.
Oh, yeah. 60. So you're flat. Yeah, you're flat.
This year I lost 20%.
Now
How much money do I have left?
Now you got 80% minus the value of the dollar.
No, I do not.
Okay.
Everybody says 800,000. I don't have 800,000. I still got to take 60.
Yeah.
Because it's about income.
That's right.
Okay. So now I'm at 740. I'm never going to recover.
No.
I'm now on a downhill slide.
Well, now you can only take 4% of the 740.
No. I still have to take 60. I can't live without my 60.
Yeah, I understand. Right? Yeah, you're done.
You got it? So I still got to take 60. I'm going to run out of money.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to that 4% rule. You get on an airplane. I fly all the time. Okay. I get on an airplane. Pilot comes on, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for flying United Airlines. The co-pilot and I have been doing some calculations here today, and we figured out we got an 86% chance of making it to our location today. I don't know about you, but I'm getting off the plane.
Totally getting off. Well, let me ask this question. I'm gonna speak to the on the other side. So somebody's gonna say to you, "Hey, James, I got it. I had $1 million. I took a 20% hit, but I got to take my 60s, so I'm down to 740. Doesn't the market rebound historically over time? You say I'm never going to recover.
See, let's go back.
Yeah. Okay.
You're back here in the accumulation stage of your life. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're growing this money because you want as much money as you could possibly get when you get there. And the
Mhm.
market's doing this, right? It's going up and down, up and down. What do you got to do? Wait, just wait. Okay.
You got to wait. Yeah.
And why can I wait? Because I already have my paycheck.
Yeah.
I told you it was always about income. It's been about income since day one. It'll be about income in the end. It's always about income. So over here, you have a paycheck. You don't have to touch this money so it can recover. When you get over here and the market goes down 20%, I don't care what the market does. You're not going to recover because you still have to consume the money. Do you understand? Yeah. This is the difference between accumulation, what your financial planner tells you should do, okay, and distribution, the real world where you're going to end up at. And they're two. So totally
where's the income coming from? Where's the income going to come from?
It depends. The answer is it depends. Do you have known incomes? Are you lucky enough to have a pension? Do you have Social Security? Otherwise, it's going to come from everything you manage to save, and you're going to have to make this create your income. So what you need to do at that point is you need to have a plan. Most people don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. You need to have a plan on how you're going to guarantee that income. Now, this is what you want out of life, Vic. I know you haven't figured this out yet, but I'll tell you, okay? This is what you want. Because if I want you to have an opinion, I'll just give you one, okay?
Fair enough.
So here you go. You want to live the lifestyle you become accustomed to, adjusted for taxes and inflation, out beyond yours and your spouse's life expectancy, and then you want to pass your money on in the most tax-favored way possible to your children.
Hey, we're aligned.
Right,
we're aligned.
Right?
We're aligned.
Got it? That's what you want. And that's what everybody wants. They may not know it. Some will say, well, I don't want to give anything to those little bastards. But the bottom line is they want it. They want
I tell the kids I'm going to skid into home plate with enough money for dirt to cover the box.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, maybe.
I just don't want to be a burden.
I want to bounce my last check.
I've taken care of you my entire life. At some point, I'll be done.
Yeah. So the bottom line is whether you understand that or not, it takes a plan. You don't just get there by accident. Okay. Some people do, but most people do not. And you know what the biggest problem is? And this is kind of where I wanted to go earlier. I have asked this question literally of thousands of people, thousands upon thousands of people to date. 38, I think actually might be 40 now. 40 people have actually got it right on the very first try. Let's see if you can be number 41.
Oof.
If you want, and by the way, I'll give you two clues.
Pressure's on.
Take the first thing that pops in your mind and forget it. It's wrong. Okay? Because you're going to answer with the same thing everybody else does. Okay? So don't blurt out the answer. The second thing, assume nothing.
Okay.
Got it? You ready?
Yep, I got it.
If you want to go somewhere, what's the very first thing you must know? You can't possibly go if you don't know. Now stop. I'm going to save you from yourself. It's not where you're going.
How I'm going to get there.
Nope. You're not number 41. Try one more time.
It's not the address of where I'm going. It's not how I'm going to get there.
This is going to piss you off, by the way.
No, I love this. I love the brain teasers. Hold on. I got to get my little cue up here. Can I afford to get there?
Vic, you have to know where you are. If you don't know where you are, you cannot possibly go where you want to go.
This is true.
You got it?
You have to know where you are. It's fair.
Vic, I have never, not once, I have met people with hundreds of millions of dollars down to people who have little bit of nothing. And not once have I met a person who knew where they were financially, and you're not going to be the first one. All right. And everybody said, well, I know. Okay, we'll find out. Okay. And you know what the most basic question that people cannot answer?
What's that?
How much does it cost you to live per year? I didn't say pay your bills.
Yeah.
I said live. Most people cannot answer that question. Okay. It's a rare person who can answer just that question. All right. And I'll bet you couldn't answer that question. What does it cost you to live per year? Not to pay the bills. You're going to say, well, this is my mortgage and this. No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you what it costs you to live. Live is everything. It's vacations, it's food, you name it.
I'm pretty sure I have a number, but I'm not going to disclose it on here.
You don't have to.
I've been managing to it now for a couple of years, but there's unforeseen stuff that happens that you write in there. But yeah, the answer is I don't think anybody really knows because nobody's counting on unforeseen stuff.
It's not that hard to know. It's really not that hard to know. It's really pretty simple. Okay. This amount of money comes in the door and this amount of money goes out.
That's how I know, by the way.
And the difference is what that difference is what's called discretionary income,
right?
That you can do with whatever. Now, the question is, do you follow the Parkinson's law or do you save it? Okay. Do you know what the Parkinson's law is?
Yeah. Hold on a second. It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
That's Einstein's law. Okay. That's the law. The law. You're insane. Okay.
The definition of insanity. Right. Yeah.
The Parkinson's law says that your expenses will keep up with your income regardless of how much money you make. The more money you make, the more money you spend.
There's another law. It's called the Pepe law. You know what that is?
I can't wait.
The cost of living travels with my wife.
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
I'm listening to this one. I'm gonna get a little slap for that one.
what I can tell you is that most people, probably yourself included, are transferring money out of their life unknowingly and unnecessarily.
Of course.
And the trick is once we find that money, whether it be $100 or $100,000, okay, what the trick is learning how to save that money.
Yeah.
Because see, if you leave that money in your life will find a way to spend it every time. And I did not say your wife.
Yeah,
I said your life. Okay.
It's all of us. And that's exactly right. And I could tell you, something happens, I got rid of a storage unit recently. Right. We've had it way too long. I was done. I don't know.
That was about a month.
What was a month?
A month was about way too long. Okay.
Yeah. A month is way too long. I'm not even going to disclose how long I had it. It's embarrassing. But when it was done, there was now all of a sudden, it was great. I didn't have that expense until I did. Right. Until it did, and we've been very blessed financially. Like we run our life pretty well. We don't piss it down the drain, but we get the things we need and want. We're very lucky. We're very fortunate. Could we ratchet back? Everybody could. Could we be saving more aggressively? And should we be? Absolutely. I think everybody would say that.
Well, now, see, I would argue with you on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I would say to you, remember my rule. Live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan like you're going to live forever.
Plan you're going to live forever. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you spend more money on weekdays or weekends?
Weekends, for sure.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
Every day in retirement is a weekend.
This is true. Yeah.
So people go, well, I'm going to go into retirement. And I'm going to live on less money I live on now.
No.
That's the biggest bunch of malarkey I've ever heard in my entire life. It's so stupid. Okay. No, you're going to exist on less money. You're not going to live.
Yeah, you're going to be watching Netflix series. We're going to be watching The Sopranos for the 73rd time during retirement. James, let me ask you about this other clip you've got out there that's relatively new for you. The stock market history has fooled you. It's a very compelling and intriguing title. Give us the 10 minutes on what motivated you to make that video and what it means to everybody. And again, this link will be in the description section of our video.
So what motivated me to make that video? Well, I have a guy that works for me. His name's Bryce. Okay. And Bryce tells me, this is what you're talking about this week. All right. We could do this for the next 2 days. I can not shut up and we could just keep going and going and going. Okay. You just keep throwing some stuff out. We'll keep talking about it. But so motivation wise, my motivation is to try to get people to get out of their box and listen. Okay. I'm trying to turn the world right side up. The world's upside down financially. It really, really is. And even people with lots of money are paying taxes they don't need to be paying. They're doing things. They're being led around by their nose in places where they don't have to be. Okay. There are better ways. That doesn't mean you take, and let me clarify that. Most people's problem is that they have almost all their money in one place. Okay. Now they'll say, well, I'm diversified. That is the biggest bunch of malarkey I've ever heard in my life. Okay. I'm diversified. I have low, medium, and high risk stocks. Where's the no risk stuff? Well, there's no money in no risk. Well, that's not true. Okay. There is places to do things with no risk. Okay. So diversity is being in places where when a mouse farts in Europe, okay, you don't lose everything you have. Okay. You have some money in real estate. You don't just have it in real estate, you have it in real estate in different markets, because not all markets react the same, like Florida to California to Missouri.
Yeah, we've seen it. We saw it in the 08, 07, 08 crisis, right? If you could bought $1 million home in Arizona for $350,000, the $1 million home in Texas was $825.
So my motivation when I'm doing a video is to get people to simply get out of their box. I literally just want them to get out of the box. I want them to stop thinking 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, onions, pickles on a sesame seed bun. Because remember what I said, if you have a large enough advertising budget, you can fool all the people all the time. Okay. And you have huge money advertising to you this stuff all the time. And so, and what's really sad is the word I hate the most is financial planner. I can't stand that word, okay? Because most financial planners are nothing more than glorified stockbrokers. That's literally what they are at the end of the day. And so is that really planning? Okay, what are you really planning for? So when I do a video on the market as an example, I'm just saying, look, there's other choices. There's other ways to do this. And don't believe everything you hear, okay? People lie. Not all people lie purposely, okay? Some people lie because they don't know any better. They're drinking the Kool-Aid, okay? Look at the Jim Jones of the world. They got all these people that drink that stuff and kill themselves. People are doing this every day. So what are you doing to be a little different? What are you doing to make sure that you can live that lifestyle you become accustomed to? Do you really have a plan?
Are you asking me that question?
Well, I'm asking the general population that. Do you really have a plan, or is your plan to just kind of throw it at the wall and see what sticks and pray to God that you come out the other end? And I got to tell you, I sit with people daily, okay? And that's where most people are at. They're always bewildered by the fact that I'm able to show them the things I show them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going too deep into your stock market thing because I want to talk about something really, really important. Okay. I want your listeners to listen very closely. Okay. Now, I'm not God. I don't walk in water. I don't have all the answers. Okay. And once again, if I have an opinion, you have an opinion, whose opinion you listen to?
I'm with you.
But at the end of the day, let's just take some facts. Okay. Let's take some real facts. All right. So let's start with this. Do you have any idea what the national debt is?
Yeah. 30 some odd trillion.
$37 trillion. Right now, as we speak, it's $37 trillion. Do you know what the national budget is?
4.9 trillion a year.
2.
Okay.
And we spent 7.2.
Okay.
It's actually closer. It's closer to 6. We spent 7.2. We spent about $1.2 trillion more than we actually brought in. So that means the budget is the amount of money we brought in, but we spent 1.2 trillion more than we brought in.
Yeah, okay? That's the deficit.
The unfunded deficit for Social Security, Medicare, and prescription drugs is over $229 trillion. Now, if we take our debt and the unfunded deficit, we're over $260 trillion upside down with a $6 trillion budget.
What makes up the unfunded deficit? Explain that to the audience.
Medicare, prescription drugs, okay?
Yeah.
It's made up of those 3 things. Main force of that is Medicare and Social Security, okay? So that's, and by the way, you can go out to usdebtblock.org and see this stuff in real time. Okay. Now, what is the highest income taxes have ever been in the United States since the inception of the temporary income tax and the establishment of the IRS in 1913?
Wasn't it close to 70%? Wow. I don't recall that.
4%.
Okay.
If you lived in the state of California with a 94% top marginal tax bracket, you would actually write a check for 8% to go to work. Now, I can remember back in the 70s, my father used to say to me, he says, I'm not going to work today because if I go to work today, I'm going to pay it all out in taxes. And I thought he was a complete idiot. I was like, what are you talking about? Okay. And as I began to learn this stuff, I realized he was right. Okay?
I'm laughing for a reason. I want to interject. Wait.
Yeah.
James, let me tell you this. When I worked in corporate America, I'm on the other side of the desk now. I'd leave on a Monday morning and I'd say, guys, guess what? Guess where daddy's going today? He's going to work. Monday and Tuesday, he works pretty much for the federal government. Wednesday, he works for the state for a little real estate tax. But don't worry. I think daddy gets to keep some of Thursday and all of Friday. And they looked at me like I was completely insane. But that's what it felt like. It wasn't too far off, right?
Oh, and,
Yeah.
and by the way, you weren't even close, because the reality is that when you go to spend that money, you have sales taxes, and you look
Yeah.
at gasoline taxes and all these other
Totally.
taxes, and suddenly there's tax. And when it's all said and done, you're getting very little of your money. Okay. But this is important. And the reason why this is important is because the average has been over 57% since the inception of the temporary income tax and the establishment of the IRS in 1913. And currently we're sitting at 37%.
Right.
Now, if it's been as high as 94, we're at 37, the average has been 57, and we have a national debt of $37 trillion. One more question. What percentage of, or by the way, what is the AGI, adjusted gross income, joint household income, AGI, before deductions, for the top 25% of all taxpayers in America? What would you guess?
Top 25, $125,000.
$1,000.
Wow.
Now, if you live in any coastal city, especially here in Southern California, San Francisco, something like that, and your joint household income is over $87,000, you're living just above the poverty level.
Yep.
Okay. That's a fact. Okay.
Yep.
What percentage of all of the income taxes paid in America is paid by the top 25%?
Well, I know the top 2% pay 40 some odd percent of taxes. I don't know. Well, I don't have a guess. Yeah. Yeah. I know the bottom 50 pay zero.
Yeah. So get this. Okay. So the 87% is paid by the top 25% of all taxpayers. So let's get this straight. We got a $37 trillion debt. We spent $1.2 trillion more than we brought in. We got about 229 in unfunded deficit. We're about 260 upside down, a little bit more than that. And taxes have been as high as 94. They're currently at 37. Do you believe that in the future taxes will be lower, higher, or the same?
Well, history will tell you it's going to have to be lower because we're not good at trimming the fat. So we're never going to spend less.
Say that one more time. Taxes will be what?
They'll be higher.
There you go. You said lower.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said they're not going to be lower.
Yeah.
No, they're going to be higher because we're not good at trimming the fat.
Okay. So here's
let's go back to this unfunded debt for a second, because this is something I don't understand. I know it's Medicare, Social Security, et cetera, but I recently heard a stat that 68% of the money that the government brings in, the $6 trillion, is spent on social services, Social Security, Medicare, et cetera. What is this unfunded debt? Explain that to me.
How about if I just show you?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I share on here?
Yeah, there's a share button on here.
Here we go, share. Okay. There's a share button, but when I click it, nothing happens. Share. There we go. Share screen. Here we go. Here we go. Right here. Check this out. Okay.
Yeah.
This is
I'm familiar with this. Yep.
Okay. If you take a look down here, you can find all your unfunded deficits down at the bottom. Okay.
Okay.
And by the way, it no longer shows that on here. So it's woven inside of here. Okay.
Okay.
But you can see all of the different stuff that's going on here at any given time. Okay. And over here, it's actually, they've spent $2 trillion more than they brought in at this point. It was 7.2. So they spent $2 trillion more than they brought in. The debt up here is 37. The really cool part of this is this Doge clock. See this?
Yeah.
This is the money they found in all the bad stuff going on. Okay. Yep. They're able to recover. But you'd have to go in here and look at this at depth, okay, to answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
But it really doesn't matter, okay? And the reason why it doesn't matter is because I asked you, do you believe that taxes will be lower, higher, or the same in the future? And you said they'll be higher.
Yeah.
You want to pay them?
Of course not.
Well, what's your plan?
Yeah, I got to get a better plan. That's my plan.
Okay. And so this goes back to, remember the linguistic marketing.
Yeah.
You should put your money inside of a tax deferred account because you can grow on money it would have otherwise paid in taxes. And in the end, you're going to have more money because you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Isn't that what they told you? Right.
But ultimately, I'll get taxed when the taxes are higher. So I would have paid more taxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if that's in fact true, okay, if that's in fact true, then what are you doing about it? See, the choice is yours. It's always a choice. And the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to their retirement, their estate planning, and saving taxes on their business, et cetera, is procrastination. It's the number one mistake.
Yeah.
All right. They're going to put it off till tomorrow. They're going to do it tomorrow. They're going to do it tomorrow. Now, question for you. When is the last time your accountant came to you in August, September, October, November, or even December and said, hey, I've got some ideas on how to save on taxes this year?
Fortunately for me, I have a new guy and we meet every month.
Got it?
And so
You know what that's called?
what's that called?
It's called the unicorn. Okay. Hang on to it.
Yeah.
Cherish it. Take care of it. Because
Yeah.
it's a unicorn. Okay.
We meet every single month and there's always stuff, left, right, center, forward, backward.
I ask two questions when I meet with a person for the very first time. The first question is, Vic, who cares about you?
Oh, you're asking me that question
Yeah,
now
who
live.
cares
Yeah.
about
My family. Yeah. And it should be my accountant. He should really care about me.
You understand,
Yeah,
Vic, that the only person that cares about you is your family?
Yeah.
If you're
That's
lucky.
fundamentally true.
If you're lucky. Okay. Yeah. So never believe, ever, no matter who you were talking to, never believe that the person you're talking to on the other side of the screen, the other side of the desk, so on and so forth, cares about you, because it's not true. Okay. They're doing their job and they're doing the best that they can at their job. They're doing the best that they can do for you. But when it gets right down to it, if you were in a firefight, you wouldn't want them in your foxhole. Okay.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to challenge you on that one. I've got an outside the box crew.
That's great.
That I think we'd live and die for each other. And I've got a 20-year track record and history with most of them that would suggest that that's accurate.
Then they're your family.
Yeah, that's true. They've become my family. This is true.
So the second question, do you want me to be honest or gentle?
Be honest.
Good, because I don't do gentle.
Okay.
It's a waste of time. Okay. It's a complete waste of time. And some people can't handle that. Okay. And so if they can't handle that, we shouldn't talk. Okay. Because we really need to get into the weeds. We really need to talk about what's going on here. Why are you doing this? Okay. Why haven't you established a trust as an example? Okay. Why haven't you done that? Okay. You need to get off your ass to do that. And some people don't want to hear those words. Okay. Sorry. Because I'm going to go to sleep tonight really, really well. Okay. Because it's all about the numbers to me. Anyways, I've taken enough of your time.
No, well, that would be a question for others. I'm not disclosing my full financial setup here on the podcast, I'm not perfect for sure. But
no
I
one
would
is.
say that
he walked on water.
Yeah, exactly. But no doubt about it. Hey, man, this has been a blast. If people want to get in touch with you, just let people know here real quickly what the best way to do that is.
I think probably the best way to do that would just to go right out to our website, and that's www.your, that's Y-O-U-R, safe, S-A-F-E, money, M-O-N-E-Y, people, P-E-O-P-L-E. Or you could call our office at 1-800-538-8001. Go to YouTube channel, go to LinkedIn, whatever works for you. Do know this, though. Something really important to know about me. If you text me and it requires more than a yes or no, you're getting a phone call.
You're getting a phone call.
If you email me requires more than a one sentence answer, you're getting a phone call. I don't communicate like that ever.
That's perfect.
So those are the things to know about me. And not much else I can tell you.
That's great. Well, we're going to put all of your contact information in the description section of this episode. This has been a blast. You're a great storyteller. And the math doesn't lie, and you've got a great perspective on the math. I appreciate you coming on here today. And my hope is that somebody's going to listen to this and not only reach out to you, but to hear it from a different perspective. Because most people I talk to, James, are stuck in the 401k rut. My money's growing. I'm in the market. Look, my house doubled in price. I'm going to pay my house off as fast as possible. Hey, I just got a bonus at the end of the year and I'm going to whack another 15,000 on the mortgage because that's how I go to sleep at night. Because that's what my mother told me to do. And my grandmother told me to do. And my great grandfather told me to do, and so I'm in the box. Did you ever hear
the story about the woman that was cooking dinner, Thanksgiving dinner for her family?
No.
So she's cooking Thanksgiving dinner for her family, and her daughter says, Mom, she says, how come you always cut the ends off the ham before you cook it? She says, I have absolutely no idea. So she calls up her mom. She says, Mom, she says, how come you cut the ends off the ham before you cook it? She says, well, honey, I don't know about you, but I do it because my pan's too short.
Interesting.
So the point is that most people operate in a new world with old information.
That's right.
Okay.
I love that story.
And simply believe that it's true because it's always been true. It couldn't possibly have changed.
Just the way we've done it.
I was that person. when it came to paying a mortgage, I was that person. I completely understand all the arguments you're having inside of your body and all the conversations you're having, because I had them all. I went down every single road. And at the end of the day, I had to come to the realization that I was stuck in my box. All right. And when I got out of the box, everything changed.
Well, I got good news for you. Well, that's not really true. I was about to say I have the biggest mortgage I could. I don't, but I got a nice one. And I've paid off my house. Let's I'll start with the end in mind. James, amazing time today. You're an amazing guy. Thank you so much for coming on. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.